Right now, on to the point. Breaking news. Investigators search a home tied to the deadly Esparto explosion. This as officials declare a local emergency in Yolo County. What we're learning tonight, plus the debate over tax breaks.
It will definitely help for middle income and high income Californians.
What recent changes under the Big Beautiful Bill mean for Californians. Governor Newsome visits South Carolina. How this could influence 2028. And closing arguments in former MLB player Daniel Saraphini's murder trial. What happened in court today?
Thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. And as we come on the air tonight, we are learning new details about the deadly firework warehouse explosion in Esparto. So investigators tell us they went to a home in San Francisco this afternoon tied to the explosion. The Sacramento County Sheriff's Office confirmed to ABC 10 that members of their bomb squad were there on a mutual aid request. Pictures show members of the Yolo County Sheriff's Office at the home as well. And we have reached out to Yolo County and we have yet to hear back. The state fire marshal sent us a statement saying, quote, investigators are actively tracking down numerous leads and have served multiple search warrants as part of the investigation process. While we are unable to provide additional details at this time, please know that we are committed to conducting a thorough and comprehensive investigation. Today marks 1 week since that explosion rocked the Esparto community and killed 7 people. The Yolo County Board of Supervisors proclaimed a local emergency today due to the explosion. ABC 10's Garshpal Sangha has been following this story very closely and joins us live from the scene tonight. Garshpal, what can you tell us this evening?
Yeah, Alex, family members here on scene still looking for answers as to what exactly happened here. And today we're expecting a vigil to happen later this evening. More and more family members are starting to arrive for that event. No word on when that's going to begin, but roadblocks remain in effect. That is why they're at this location right next to Dollar General here in Esparto. Now, as you mentioned, today marks 1 week since the explosion took place. And today, local emergency declaration from the county. This is a step a county usually takes before it asks the state or federal government for help to get through this unfortunate situation. Now, that massive explosion at the fireworks warehouse sparked a fire that scorched 80 acres, destroyed buildings, and left 7 people dead. Those victims still haven't been identified. The Yolo County coroners is now using DNA to confirm who they were after recovering 7 bodies just a few days ago. Now, earlier today, the Yolo County supervisors declared a local state of emergency, saying that the damage stretches far beyond the fire's edge, impacting farms, homes, and businesses around the area. Now, some residents who live nearby are also demanding answers as they try to find out why this happened.
How was a teenager allowed to work on such a site? And what was disclosed to any and all employees?
I don't know about the rest of my neighbors, but some of us are very upset by what's gone on. If that blast site had been any larger, the town of Esparto would be gone. So figure that, because it wasn't that far away from downtown Esparto.
Now, residents are concerned about the chemicals released into the air from the blast. Investigators from the state marshal's office are leading the investigation, and they are being assisted by ATF and Esparto Fire. Now, back here live again, more and more family are starting to arrive here for that event. And as soon as we get more information, and as soon as that event starts, we'll have that for you. And also, we're going to have much more on this story tonight, late news tonight at 11. Reporting live from Yolo County, Garshpal Sangha, ABC 10.
Garshpal, thank you so much for the update. Obviously, very devastating for these families. It is a story that we will continue to follow, and we have continuing coverage of the Esparto fire, including new details about the investigation right now on our ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. That app is free to download to your TV. California taxpayers can now expect to deduct more from state and local taxes on federal income following the passage of President Donald Trump's Big Beautiful Bill. This is also known as the SALT deduction. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen explains what this means for Californians and the housing market in the state.
The biggest bill of its kind ever signed, and it's going to make this country into a rocket ship. It's going to be really great.
Included in President Donald Trump's Big Beautiful Bill are new state and local tax deductions, also known as SALT, that could be beneficial to Californians.
The major provision that was changed in the 2017 tax reform that was done under Trump administration, number one, and that was changed in his second administration last week. to be increased from $10,000 to $40,000.
Taxpayers earning $500,000 or less will be able to deduct up to $40,000 for tax years 2025 through 2029. The cap will revert back to $10,000 in 2030. Finance experts believe the SALT cap will greatly benefit high-income earners in the state.
Will probably not impact California taxpayers who are low income or lower middle income. It will definitely help for middle income and high income Californians because they pay more taxes.
When it comes to the impacts to the housing market, especially in the greater Sacramento region, some housing analysts don't believe this will completely change the market.
This is a temporary reduction. It's going to expire in a few years, and also people can afford it. And, people at higher price points are often incredibly savvy. And so, they may not necessarily need the help. They could take advantage of it.
But others believe it will benefit the housing market in the state.
A household making $200,000 will suddenly find the state of California a lot more affordable, given that we already pay significant amounts to buy a house here. So the housing market is going to benefit from that.
Ultimately, many experts say any money saved by taxpayers will be beneficial to Californians. In Sacramento, Jeannie Nguyen, ABC 10.
And the cap will increase by 1% each year until 2030, where it will revert back to $10,000 once again. All right, Governor Gavin Newsome is sparking more 2028 buzz, launching a 2-day tour across South Carolina. Newsome, who was invited by the South Carolina Democratic Party, is making stops in rural areas and Republican strongholds. The early primary state visit comes as Newsome looks to rebrand. We spoke to political analyst Steve Swat about what this move means for Newsome's future.
So people are taking notice of Governor Newsome. And what is really interesting about this, you will remember several months ago when the governor was asked about running for president, he said, I have sub-zero interest in running for president. Well, now he's telling the Wall Street Journal that in fact, he can see a path toward him running for president.
We also asked Swat about what this signals to Californians. He says polls show voters believe Newsome is more focused on national politics rather than state issues, and that trip could strengthen that. New tonight, a major development in our ongoing investigation, the Wild West of education. Highlands Community Charter and Technical School Board directors, they are stepping down. This comes just weeks after a state audit triggered by ABC 10's reporting revealed serious misuses of public funds and violations of the law. Investigative reporter Andy Judson has the latest updates.
Yeah, Alex, in a stunning and swift move Tuesday, the entire boards overseeing Highlands Community Charter and Technical Schools announced they will be resigning as board members.
The board's resignations follows the June 24th release of a state audit, which found Highlands misreported attendance, used taxpayer money on luxury travel, and hired unqualified staff, including family members, for six-figure salaries.
We'll move to action item 1, removal of a board member or board members.
During the special board meeting, trustees first voted to remove board member Sonia Cameron, who the audit accused of voting to hire and promote her own daughter into a six-figure position, despite her daughter's lack of a college degree or required credentials.
And I really, really have put my soul and heart into serving on this board. But the board has decided not to want me anymore. It's time to right the ship.
Immediately after that vote, one by one, the remaining board members, Ernie Daniels, Matt Powers, Ricky Jones, Sharon Rocco, Mike Reed, and Mary DeChance all announced they would resign.
But I am resigning.
To announce my decision to resign.
I am too going to resign.
3 members will stay on until replacements are found to ensure the school remains legally operational.
I'll depart as soon as you know you have a suitable person.
And with the board stepping down, newly appointed Executive Director Jonathan Raymond is now tasked with steering the school through the leadership crisis. Also new, the California Department of Education is requesting Highlands pay over $180 million back. That's money the audit says the school improperly received by misreporting attendance and more. Education Chair Assemblymember Murasuchi, who requested the audit, reacted to the news.
Those were taxpayer dollars that were wrongfully received by the Highlands operators, and so it's only right that they have to pay that money back.
In response, Highlands said they're reviewing legal options, saying in part, "Let's be clear, any suggestion that Highlands could give back $180 million is political theater and would force the school to close."
And with the board stepping down, newly appointed executive director Jonathan Raymond is now tasked with steering the school through this leadership crisis. In a statement, Raymond said, "This moment is about accountability at every level," adding, "I asked for these resignations because I believe Highlands' future depends on a clean break from past governance failures."
And you can watch Andy's full report on the state audit and the entire 2-year investigation, The Wild West of Education, right now on the ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. Still ahead, closing arguments in the murder trial of former MLB player Daniel Saraphini, what prosecutors say proves guilt, and the defense's final push for doubt. Plus, the new push in Washington to make ICE agents identify themselves.
It was a very mild day today with highs in the 80s, but we're going to be warming up. I've got seasonal temps tomorrow, triple digits by the end of the week in the forecast after the break.
Welcome back. Let's check in with meteorologist Brendan Minchef. Brendan, the next 2 days are good, but there is a warm-up coming, right?
Yeah, definitely a warm-up coming. This was kind of the bottom in terms of temperatures this week. Made it to 86 in Sacramento today, 90 in Stockton, 91 in Modesto, 84 Placerville, 81 in Truckee, and 81 in South Lake Tahoe. Temperatures across the valley were about 5 degrees cooler than normal for the time of year. But again, this is it. It is going to be warming up. So the work week has started with temperatures below seasonal, but by the end of it, we're going to be running about 10 degrees above normal. 86 right now in Sacramento, 85 in Stockton, 89 Modesto, 84 in Jackson, 77 in Truckee, 74 in South Lake Tahoe. We are seeing a delta breeze, but it's not as strong as what we saw yesterday. Right now, about 15 miles per hour across the valley and delta. Cool and breezy through the overnight. We're going to start off in those mid to upper 50s across much of the valley. Should be clear overnight as well. Tomorrow afternoon, temperatures slow to load, but temperatures are going to top out in the low to mid 90s across the valley. Much more seasonal. I've got about 93 in Sacramento, 93 Stockton, 93 in Modesto. The average high is 93 in Sacramento, so we're going to be right where we should be for midweek. And we'll see a delta breeze once again tomorrow afternoon. However, it is not going to be as strong as what we've seen the last couple of days. So it is going to be a little more subdued, not reach quite as far into the valley. That's because high pressure is going to start to move overhead. We may see a few marine stratus try to work its way through the delta, but I don't expect to see widespread marine intrusion tomorrow morning. High pressure beginning to move overhead. That's why temperatures are starting to climb and the heat will peak Thursday and Friday, but high pressure will be the main weather pattern driver going forward. So even though it won't be in the triple digits for the weekend, it's still going to be hot, still warmer than normal. Again, peak of the heat Thursday and Friday as we climb towards 101. Alex.
All right, Brendan, thank you. Next, on To the Point, former MLB player Daniel Saraphini's fate is now in the hands of a jury. The key moments from closing arguments and what happens next. Plus, President Trump threatens more tariffs, the deadline for foreign leaders, and the products that could be impacted. Tonight, jurors in the murder trial of former Major League Baseball pitcher Daniel Saraphini are another step closer to deciding his fate. Saraphini is accused of murdering his father-in-law and attempting to murder his mother-in-law at their Lake Tahoe area home back in 2021. And after 6 long weeks of hearing testimony and seeing evidence, jurors were presented with closing statements today. ABC 10's Roxanne Elias has more on what happened in the courtroom.
For almost 3 hours, the prosecution in the murder trial for Daniel Saraphini delivered its closing arguments on Tuesday. Assistant Chief Deputy District Attorney Richard Miller began by saying, "This is an awful crime. It's my job to be thorough or risk the wrong thing happening for the wrong reasons." In his presentation, he explained to jurors what their job was as he showed photos of Saraphini's 70-year-old father-in-law, Gary Spoor, and his wife, Wendy Wood, as they were found on the day they were shot in June of 2021. Miller then showed 2 different timelines and supporting evidence, which he says showed planning, coordination, and association with the deaths. He also brought up the decades-long history of fights over money, fights over the children, and the time Saraphini said he wanted them dead. Miller ended his statement by pointing straight at Saraphini and saying, "There is a murderer in this room. He is sitting right there." Moments later, defense attorney David Dratman quickly took his turn to begin his closing statement. He stated Saraphini did not shoot his in-laws, and that according to evidence given by law enforcement officers, one expert confirmed Saraphini was 6'3" tall, which contradicts the FBI description of the person in this surveillance video, since it showed the person was 6'2" tall. Dratman then pointed out how Samantha Scott, Saraphini's former lover, had admitted to lying now for 3 years, and says she is being paid for her testimony by receiving a lesser punishment. He says what Scott told was a story, and there is no corroborating evidence that most of the things she said are true. Roxanne Elias, ABC 10.
The jury has selected a foreperson and has begun deliberating. Deliberations will continue when court resumes on Thursday. Of course, we'll continue to follow this. Tonight, U.S. Senators Alex Padilla and Cory Booker are taking aim at immigration enforcement tactics. They've introduced a bill that would require officers to wear clear ID badges during public operations. They say agents have shown up in unmarked gear with no names or agency info, sparking confusion and fear in communities, including in the Los Angeles area. Now, the new bill called the Visible Act aims to bring more transparency and accountability to immigration enforcement. 45 California state lawmakers also sent a letter to the Department of Homeland Security last week asking for more oversight. Advocates and health groups are sounding the alarm over a wave of pharmacy closures across California. Today, they gathered at the Capitol calling for the passage of Senate Bill 41. The bill targets pharmacy benefit managers, the middlemen between drug companies, insurers, and pharmacies. Supporters say pharmacy benefit managers are overriding doctors, limiting patient access to medication, and forcing local pharmacies out of business.
These are abusive practices that are destroying community pharmacies by trying to force people into mail order pharmacies instead of being able to go to their neighborhood pharmacy and talk to their pharmacists and get that kind of direct face-to-face health care.
The bill advanced out of the Assembly Health Committee this afternoon, and it will go to the Assembly Judiciary next. President Trump says more tariffs are coming, including one on pharmaceuticals, where the rate could be as high as 200%. Trump promised 90 trade deals in 90 days, and now he says that the tariff letters that he's sending to foreign leaders count as deals. Here's Perry Russin with the details.
President Trump says more tariff letters will be sent today to foreign leaders, warning if deals are not made by August 1st, they will face steep tariffs.
It's about time the United States of America started collecting money from countries that were ripping us off.
Trump sending letters to more than a dozen world leaders so far. Japan and South Korea, major trading partners, now facing 25% tariffs. South Africa would be hit with 30% tariffs. Myanmar and Laos even steeper, 40% tariffs. Trump promised 90 tariff deals in 90 days. The White House has only announced a deal with Vietnam and the framework of a deal with the United Kingdom. Trump now claims his letters are deals.
A letter means a deal. You know, a lot of people said, we got 200 countries. We can't meet with 200 countries.
The president says more tariffs are coming, including one on pharmaceuticals, with the rate as high as 200%. And even though most tariffs end up getting passed on to consumers in the end, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the U.S. has taken in about $100 billion in tariffs so far this year.
We could expect that could be well over $300 billion by the end of the year.
Trump once again blasting Fed Chair Jerome Powell for not lowering interest rates. Powell's term as Fed Chair is up next May. Trump then turning to Secretary Bessent.
I like you better.
Trump also announcing a new tariff on copper. That metal is used in everything from electronics to cars. but nothing has been officially signed just yet. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
Next on To The Point, big changes at airport security, why your flight might be a little bit faster next time you go. All right, before we go, after nearly 20 years, airports across the country are making some major changes. You will no longer have to remove your shoes while going through security, and that includes right here at SMF. This is a major shift since the policy was implemented back in 2006, 5 years after Richard Reed tried to blow up an American Airlines flight from Paris to Miami with explosives packed in his shoes. With Real ID now a requirement to travel domestically, experts say security is tighter, helping lead to this change. Advancements in technology are also helping make things safer. This will also slowly be implemented, so some airports may still require you to take off your shoes. Of course, this is new coming out, so make sure that you're patient with everyone at those airports. As always, thank you so much for watching and for always inviting us into your home. If you have something you think we should be looking into, you can always email us at tothepoint@abc10.com. And of course, you can always catch up on anything you missed on our free ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app.